Where's your bouquet, Minty? I don't have one. Right, said Paige, and you could not falter. Hold on. She thrust her briefcase into my hand and disappeared. Nathan beckoned me to a group in which his eldest children, Sam and Poppy, and their spouses, Jilly and Richard, were talking to Peter and Caroline Shaker. Poppy was in black, and Jilly was markedly pregnant in a denim smock that needed a press. Only Caroline had made an effort, in a glaringly bright red dress and a white jacket. Sam did not quite meet my eye. Hello, Minty. Jilly made more of an effort and pecked at my cheek. Her long, silky hair brushed against my cheek. It smelled of shampoo and wholesome things. How are you feeling? She whispered meaningfully, one pregnant woman to another. Fine, very little different, apart from very hot hands and feet that hurt. Her eyes raked over me. You hardly show, you lucky thing. Jilly meant the opposite. Every line of her body with out-thrust belly proclaimed her delight in being so obviously fecund. She leaned against Sam. You wait, sore feet is only the start, she said contentedly. Paige burst back into the room. Here's your bouquet, Minty. It's terrible, but it will have to do. She thrust into my hand a bunch of red roses, the kind that were sold on street corners by oppressed immigrant workers. They were tightly furled and only half alive. The registrar cleared his throat. Are we ready? The cellophane, Paige hissed. I ripped it off, squashed it into a ball, and left it on the table. Oh, Minty, Nathan said. I forgot you should have flowers. In the restaurant afterward, we were joined by Aunt Anne, Nathan's last remaining relative, and there was a great deal of fussing and rearranging of chairs to accommodate her wheelchair. I observed the guests at the table. Their expressions were fixed, as if they were struggling collectively to find a way through the experience. Jilly drank ostentatiously from a glass of water. Sam draped his arm around his wife. Poppy chattered and fluttered, her tie silk scarf flashing scarlet and gold. Every so often, she touched Richard's shoulder or his arm. Once, she pressed her lips to his cheek. None of them looked in my direction. There was comment about my first name being Susan, a fact revealed by the registrar. For most of my life, I had hated the name and had refused to use it since I was 15, but I went to its defense. What's so funny about Susan? Jilly and Poppy put their heads on one side. It's just that you're so minty, Jilly explained. I'm sorry you haven't got any family here, Sam remarked as we ate Dover sole and scallops. My father vanished when I was small, my mother is dead, and I don't have any siblings or cousins. I'm sorry. I don't miss what I've never had, I added stubbornly, insistently. It's not so terrible. Sam might have said, we are your family now, but he didn't. At the end of the meal, I watched Nathan proffer his platinum credit card to pay the bill and thought, with relief, that I would not have to worry about money anymore. I went to say goodbye to Aunt Anne, stooping over the wheelchair and inhaling face powder and dust from her hat with a black feather. Goodbye. Thank you so much for coming. She raised a startlingly thin hand blotched with liver spots, on which rattled a platinum wedding ring and diamond solitaire, and touched my cheek. So nice, she murmured, and I felt a rush of unexpected tears. They say cynics are the only true romantics. I was marrying Nathan without any of the true and proper feelings, only non-feelings, but I was doing it all the same. And Aunt Anne's touch was worth more than it was possible to describe. Poppy was hovering. Aunt Anne, we must take you home. I promised that I would not let you overdo things. Her exhaustion and confusion obvious, Aunt Anne groped for her words. Goodbye, Rose, she said. Chapter 1. I have found that, for me, it is wise to have a few rules tucked up inside my head, and the ones currently governing my life are: Rule number 1, there is no justice. Rule number 2, contrary to a husband's hopes, a second wife does not have the Kama Sutra nestling in her handbag. It is more likely to be aspirin. Rule number 3, never complain, particularly if you have been instrumental in demonstrating rule number 1, which I have been. Rule number 4, never serve liver or tofu. Nathan and I were wrestling over the guest list for the dinner party. "Why do we need to give one?" he demanded from the sofa. It was a Sunday afternoon in early November, and he was sleepy after a lunch of roast chicken with tarragon. Newspapers paved the floor, and the room was stuffy with winter and central heating. In their bedroom, directly above the sitting room, the twins played at airports, taking off and landing with excruciating thumps. I informed Nathan that it was necessary for his position at Vistamax to keep going, that I'd already compiled a list composed of key Vistamax couples, and it would be smart to mix them up with friends. Nathan leaned his head against the back of the sofa, closed his eyes, and contemplated the maneuvers necessary to keep a career afloat. "Been there, Minty." He meant with Rose. There it was. Despite having left his first wife, Rose, for me, Nathan still measured his life against that first marriage. Holidays, house decoration, even the choice of a new jumper were accomplished beneath the arid rain shadow of the past. Worse, Nathan punished himself for what he perceived as his and my transgressions. It was a bad habit, and I'd failed to nip it in the bud. In this marriage, the quality of mercy proved to be in short supply, and, during our 7 years together, it had been thinned, strained, and darkened, like varnish on an old painting. My gaze drifted past the figure on the sofa to the perfectly normal London view outside number 7, Lakey Street. The trees seemed weighed down with grime, and the pile of rubbish outside Mrs. Austen's flat opposite more than usually noxious. This type of exchange between Nathan and me had become commonplace. What kept me in a state of perpetual astonishment, bewilderment even, was how I had miscalculated in having gotten myself into this position in the first place. Never complain. What about the Frosts? Sue and Jack were Nathan's very special friends. They were also Rose's very special friends, but they were not my special friends. The reverse, in fact, for I was, Sue had been heard to say, a husband snatcher and a homebreaker. I could not deny either. As a result, Nathan was frequently invited to their house a couple of streets away to cozy evenings, but I was not. What they talked about I don't know, and I never inquired. Sometimes I amused myself by imagining the conversational hole around which these special friends tiptoed. Was Nathan disloyal? No, he needed to see his old friends, but nobody appeared to note the irony in the situation. Both Frosts were on their second marriage. Would they come, do you think? The hissing noise that meant, "I don't think so," issued from Nathan, and his eyes flicked to the painting above the mantelpiece. It was a Pryak Bay in Cornwall, by a local artist, and rather dull. But Nathan liked it, and frequently I caught him peering into the turquoise paint depths of the sea at the base of the cliffs. "No," he said. The outlook on the friend front was grim. What about the Lockharts? The Lockharts were also friends of Nathan and Rose. Nathan sprang to his feet and removed a fleck of something from the bottom right-hand corner of the painting. "Minty, it's no use flogging dead horses. They feel strongly—" He did not have to finish the sentence. I glanced down at the list of guests that, so far, was composed only of work colleagues. Did I mention that I met Sue Frost the other day in the supermarket, and I tried to sort things out? Actually, she told me, Nathan confessed, but she didn't go into detail. I found myself inscribing 2 heavy underlinings on the list. Well, I will go into detail, Nathan. I asked Sue why, since she and Jack were both on their second marriages, I am banished from their court. What makes me different from them? Sue Frost had tapped her pink suede loafer on the ground and peered over a trolley stacked with vegetables and cleaning aids. Her cheeks had flamed in her pretty but obstinate face as she replied, "I would have thought it obvious. I am not the one who left my first husband. I wasn't the party who broke up a marriage." So. Nathan shoved his hands into his trouser pockets. He put on the face he used for tricky business meetings, hugely unreadable. "What did you say?" I said I wanted to get the situation absolutely straight as she saw it. As a second wife, Sue was okay because her husband had